right, here we are. Marks
Rotation!
Bensdorf BPC Team Ride. Coming at you from the Memphis, Tennessee area. I'm sure you all knew that already, though. So a few tips on Paceline work. You're reading these as we go. I'm just going to kind of talk through stuff as well. But this is one of our first earlier season races, or rides, sorry, not a race. Weather has been atrocious, like in the teens. There's been some rain, there's been some ice. So we haven't had a chance to get out and do much from a team ride standpoint. One of the things we love to do is Paceline work. If you find yourself in a race or even a fast group ride, Pacelines tend to happen. It's faster, it's more efficient. You're able to hold a higher speed, and when it's done right, it's one of the most fun parts of riding in a group. But if you ever find yourself in a breakaway, you better be efficient in a Paceline. So that's what we're working on here. A few of those tips that were already tossed up was communication. And right here, we're talking about when you rotate through, trying not to open a gap. So key there is maintaining pace and communicating. So you want to come through without surging. So you're essentially trying to hold speed if it's flat. If it's an uphill, you're actually going to slow down and you're going to hold effort instead of speed. So the rotation is actually going to slow up a little bit when you're on an uphill. So when the group is going slower, you rotate through slower, and when it's faster, you go through faster. Now, as you're on the front, you'll see that little tip there, and you saw the rider in front of me pointing out the hazards. We want to make sure we're doing that. And essentially, the goal there is anything you wouldn't want to ride over or through, point it out. And then here's another big key. So when you're the last person in the rotation, we've got this smooth group going through. I am last now, so I'm going to call it to the guy that was in front of me. As I advance past him, I'm going to call it out and say I'm last and let him know it's his turn to come through. That as soon as my wheel comes up, he can come on through. When cars are coming through, make sure you're yelling those out as well. And then right here, I wanted to just make note. You'll see Stoffel there in the center does a great job of pointing high. Everyone was yelling. There was plenty of time for us all to get safely around that man eater of a pothole. So Paceline work is all about communication. It's all about being smooth, being deliberate. You can get away with not rotating through perfect if you're coming across slow. So as soon as you're pulling across from in this case, right to left side, if you do it slow, even if you're a little bit off or a little bit soon, the person behind you is going to have time to react. So you just want to do it slow, not do it jerky. And then here's where the sprint takes place. You can see Elijah was stuck. Elijah's goal for today was to work on sprinting regardless of where he was at. So at the end of the harder efforts, his goal was to finish it with a sprint and just practice that. Practice sprinting on more loaded up legs. And then after, you're going to see a note here, but after these hotter spots, after your working skills, make sure you regroup, take a few seconds, take a little bit of time to chat through how it went. The goal here is for everyone to get better, to make sure pace is good, and to make sure anything that needs to be corrected can be corrected.
Yell slow, and then
I didn't say a word.
sprint.
I didn't say a word.
Now's my time.
I'm the one that said slow.
I let off of it. I was like, all right, we're done.
How was that pace for everyone?
Great.
All good?
Yeah. Can we go a little faster?
Let's just keep this going. So we're gonna go mile maybe that way. We'll take a right. We'll go up Canadaville loop, and then we'll end up connecting just right down here. We'll regroup if we need to. But I think most value right now is just us keeping that rotation, getting nice and smooth. We don't really need to go hammering. But if we want, we can get a little sprint at the end like we did on this one. This time I'll tell you all about it.
And the great thing to try to learn on the hills with pace lines, it obviously gets really tough to manage the herd when you're trying to do it. So, I don't want to hijack your group, but
No, go for it.
Try and do the pace line nice and consistent up the hill without trying to let loose.
Just remember, the slower you're going, the slower the rotation is. So up hills, the rotation's going to end up being slower. The faster we're going, downhills, the faster that rotation should be. So push more on a downhill than you are going to on the uphill. People in the front got to hammer a little more.
Think of it more like an effort line, not a pace line. Keep the effort the same. Keep the pace how the effort takes you.
We're renaming this right now.
Wow.
All right, guys, let's work a smooth effort line.
So wise.
Heading left.
Effort line. That E-line. Yeah, Will, you too.
Running that E line.
All right, here in a second, I'm going to be showing you how to surf the back of a Paceline. So there's going to be times in races, times in rides where you're just not feeling great. Or maybe tactically you don't want to be doing work. And so what you want to do here, instead of just staying on one side and opening a big gap and letting the next person in line come through, what you want to do is what's called surf. So you're going to hear me yelling here, but you're going to want to move from the line that's falling back. You're going to jump over to that guy. Right here I'm on Aiden's wheel. I'm following him up. And as soon as his wheel gets even, his rear wheel gets even with Scott, who's now in front of me, I move over to Scott, then I follow Scott across and up. And then when you're ready to get back into it, you got to let the person know that you're coming through. Give them an audible notification because they're used to having a certain person come through. And if you've adjusted that order, they're going to be saying, "Oh, bull crap! I didn't know you were back there. I didn't know you were coming through." So just give them a yell. And then here, this is going to be towards the end of this loop, so we're gonna speed things up from a pace standpoint here in a second. But we took this little right-hand bend, and now it's moving from a right to left rotation to now the wind's coming off our right side. So you can see Scott in front of me essentially saying, "Hey, I know you just pulled through from right to left, but guess what? We always pull into the wind, so now it's your time." And now we got a little lead-out fun happening.
Lead out, baby.
And this is where you got to be safe with all this, but this is kind of the fun of practicing how things are going to be towards the end of a race. And so I'm going to be quiet, and we'll just kind of watch the end of this play out.
Take it through, take it through, take it through.